Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Good.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Doing well. Excited that it's Friday. Adam's here. Hi, Adam. You at Starbucks? In your spot? All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get.
Oh, I don't have a microphone.
No. I can't. Can you hear me?
You can hear me? Like now?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just on the iPad. I'll switch headphones.
As long as you can hear me, that's all that matters. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and mute everyone, okay? All right. Here we go. All right. Everyone ready? Several, help, satisfactory, understand, bill, close, covering, guess, room, sold, sister, opinion, train, law, low, one, time, he, get, do, been, wetter, can, would, she, when, wrote, hard, doing, far, list, cover, set, write, advise, company, enclosed, since. All right, now, here's a was were drill, and I'm going to give you the sentences that go with them, okay? And not all of them are was were. I was, what were, they were, how were, we are, when was, you were, you are, there is, she is, what was, he was, why is, they are, which was, you are, who was, we were, that is, he is, she was, which were, who is, there are, why was, it is, when were, what is, this is, that was, who were, which is, what are, this was, there were, when is, how was, that were, who are, it was, that were, when are, that is, why were. And here are your sentences. We were with him at that time. You were going to stay home, true? You were not with him, is that right? You were one of the people in the car. When you were there, did you see Bob? We were going to go, but we were late. They were not at the store when we got there. While they were in the car, they were hit from behind. If it were not for you, we wouldn't be here today. If it were up to me, I think it would have been different. The kids that were with us never left our view. The cats that were in the yard got all wet when the rain started. They were running late. That was a good deal. That was a big storm. When was the last time you called him? I was on the case. She was in the meeting. It was a nice day. I was going to attend, but she was there. He was in the military. Right. Now, these words all end with either final CH, final M, or final LT. Reach, ham, melt, match, ram, pelt, rum, dealt, catch, malt, etch, dumb, batch, bum, stilt, home, guilt, ditch, itch, drum, colt, hum, hatch, fault, leech, cam, belt, skim, peach, dolt, botch, halt, doom, dam, salt, rich, patch, welt, some, whim, hilt, fetch, built, teach, gnome, latch, jilt, dome, knelt, comb, stitch, wretch, bim, volt, tam, felt, beach, molt, watch, him, hutch, seam, silt, tilt, roam, witch, hitch, lilt, come, numb, hatch, kilt, switch, tomb, vault. Okay. We're going to do some consonant compounds, doublets. Oh, let's see. Hold on one second here. Here we go. Fresh prints, strong glare, dry clean, black smoke, cross brace, plate glass, grapefruit, playground, free trade, brownstone, blueprint, fruit fly, steep grade, bread crumb, green thumb, broadcloth, drumstick, snowflake, broad grin, test drive, crisscross, gravestone, prose style, chair lift, blindfold, screwdriver, flax cloth, bright flame, chain store, drag strip, floor show, plaything, drill press, spoil sport, brown bread, close friend, flat plane, broomstick, free trip, thrift store, ground swell, drive shaft, transplant, fresh fruit, flight plan, blunt point, sweatband, treble clef, split ends, bridegroom, flip-flop, cream cheese, soft touch, pitch black, blood clot, crabgrass, flywheel, close shave, slow speed, flash flood. Right, here are some sentences. There is nothing worse than being negligent. It is hard to communicate with this community. In my experience, they need a response on the expense account. Let's enter into the discussion. Shall we examine the exam? At present, nothing is important. Hang up the receiver and refer to this note that I just received. The individual read the verdict. Please collaborate with us and corroborate the fact that we need to contribute funds to the cause. They had to balance the victim on the gurney in the ambulance. They came upon an approximate answer to the quiz. For about how long did you know this individual? Did he recall what he said or remember that he recommended taking an aspirin? We needed to summon someone soon. The jury heard about the man's injury. The answer to the question is the letter Z. Yesterday I went to the university. It is evident that he received the affidavit. You need to cross-examine your need to use the crosswalk. It's hard to make progress when there is prejudice in a perjury case. There is a permanent problem by permitting this program to be canceled. Indeed, he was an independent contractor. He needed immediate medical attention. That subject was the object of our search. Let me try to convince you of the sequence of events. Subsequently, we had to suffer the consequences. The newspaper article discussed the new material. I cannot imagine how the engine on the machine broke, but they can manage to manufacture another one. The standpoint you can take is that we can stipulate that it is true. What limit do they have before they eliminate all the elements in the case? I definitely dealt with all the difficulties. On October 1st, he will be 80. I became conscious that his conscience was bothering him. Tom drank a superior liquid called a super gulp. What position did he possess during the game? I noticed that they will notify us by Thursday. They started up the new enterprise in the interior of the building. It is essential that you tell us your initial response and the eventual outcome. In all probability, there is only a slight possibility that we can do that. Is it true that it is not over until it's over, or was that its function? It'll permit you to get the permanent position. Was the interior of the building damaged or just the exterior? What do you consider will occur at that time? Where is the official financial report? What difference does it make which conference room we use? All right. Now, got some consonant compounds that focus on initial PR, initial PL. Okay. Let me just state this. All right. Here we go. The prince presumed the problems had all been presented. Priorities are our primary protests. Proceed to the private premises. The press room was buzzing with presidential primary results. Owing property is the downfall of the proletarian. Practice your pronunciation with the proper diction. Predestination is the presumption that our lives are predetermined. While printing or praying, we must promote the prophesier. The preconception that all of the progress is present day is pragmatic. Prankish tricks often precede the practical person. Prohibit your procession if pregnancy prohibits it. Procure the promotion if the printer is presentable. He has a propensity to project the pro data. The priceless presentation is for the prescription that is presumed to be lost. Show the proprietor the proper protocol. Prose is writing with preferable precision. Practice what you preach, and don't always preach what you practice. The provocative person let her presence be known in the precious press room. She used plastic plates and platters. The platform was not plated. The plateau was planned. Blood platelets are a plus. We looked at a plateful of plastic. A platinum blonde is pleasing. Platitudes are not pleasant. Ours was a platonic affair. Their platoon played with a platypus. The plaudits were not plausible. They pleaded to play in the plaza. He based his plea on the pleat. A play by the plenary council was planned. Players don't wear plaid pleats. Your pledge will plenish us. Pleurisy affects the pleura. It was not only plenty, it was a plethora. A plotter's plight is plumpness. The plumber plunged the plunger. You may act as my playing planner. She placated him with a pleasant placebo. Placards were plastered in each plot. You can place the plain plan here. Don't get out of place on the plane. We had plenty to take the placement test. The placer was placid placing the plants. Plagues are not plotted or planned. Why does a player plagiarize the plans? The plaintiff wore a plain plaid. Our plantation pleased the planners. Pluto is a planet, isn't it? Use a plane to smooth the plank. Planishing hammers level metal plates. The plastic plant used a plumber. A plantar wart requires plastic surgery. Don't put planter's punch in a planter. Place the plaque in plaster. The plasma pleased the plower. Some call a plot a plot. The platters were plotters. And that was supposed to be some call a plot a plat. Sorry about that. Sometimes they're like tongue twisters. All right. I like that one because there's so many sentences. Some of them are much shorter. All right. Let me give you some email addresses. And again, if you don't know these, www is WAUT, WAUT.com is DAUM, .net is DWET, DWET, .gov, DWOF, DWOF, .org, DWORG, DORG, / is FASH. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I've been wondering about this, because when somebody says that in testimony, are we supposed to like write it out, the word dot and the word com, or should we write it like a web address?
Like, are you talking about when you transcribe it or when you write it on your machine?
Yeah, when you transcribe it.
Yeah. Okay. So you would write it as like a web address.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So just the www dot, yes. And if you use these internet briefs, you can yeah, add those to your dictionary, and that way it's going to come up like it's supposed to,
Yeah.
Like if you enter the DOT with the flag, instead of the word dot, it'll add the period dot, if that's in the middle of the web address.
Oh.
Yeah. And web addresses are going to be used more and more and more because every business has one, and so you hear them all the time. So
What did you say .net was? DWET?
Yep, DWET.
.wet.
DWET, and then .gov is DWOF, DWOF, .org, DWORG. At is AT with the flag, so that you get the right symbol. / is FASH, FASH.
Fash.
Bash, yep. If dot's in the middle, just DOT with the flag. And then if there is a backslash, it's not as common, you can use BASH with the flag. Okay.
So / they're going to say /
Yeah.
within the context of that,
exactly.
the web address or something.
Yeah.
But it's just going to translate as the actual / right?
Exactly.
So we really could just do OI for our / right?
You could, as long as your OI is the
That'll
slash
keep it
and
together,
not the
right?
dash,
Yeah, that's a / because HF is the hyphen.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. So I've got some web addresses for you. Okay. And like I was telling Catherine the other day, a lot of times you don't even say www dot. Sometimes they'll just say, AOL.com, but I like to say it because I want you guys to get used to writing it as WAT.
What?
Yeah. www dot. So it's WAT. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Is it W?
Oh, what was that?
You said WAUT?
Yes.
Okay.
WAT. And .com is DOM. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, here we go. Ready? www.uol.com.br. So in that case, you could use the last .br. You could do DOT with the flag, and then you would have to just do the initials BR. That's a university online in Brazil. So some of them we've never heard of before, probably. Okay, here's another one. www.tmz.com. www.usmagazine.com. www.wonderwall.com. www.galler.com. So, sometimes you just have to write it phonetically and then research it. www.doubleclick.net. www.e/online.com. www.google/ad/services.com. www.accuweather.com. www.googleweblight.com. www.answers.yahoo.com. And I'm going to continue to pull up more so that you guys just, it's just second nature. Okay. Because I know that it's different. We don't, we didn't used to go over those all the time, but they are important. All right. Now I'm going to give you just some accident words. Okay. And they don't necessarily have to be briefs. They're just things you hear with accident terms, okay? Here we go. This accident, that accident, the accident, time of the accident, since that accident, scene of the accident, prior to the accident, on the night of the accident, on the morning of the accident, on the day of the accident, on the date of the accident, on the afternoon of the accident, night of the accident, following the accident, day of the accident, before the accident, after the automobile accident, after the auto accident, after the accident, accident occurred, accident happened, and accident. All right. Awesome. All right. Here's some words that top words that are searched on the internet. We've been working on this, so I'm going to give you a page right now. Here we go. Game cracks, legal, game downloads, lesson plans, Game Boy rooms, Lord of the Rings, games, gardening, genealogy, global warming, love poems, lupus, golf, google.com, lyrics, lyric search, mad cow disease, Madonna, map, graphics, green guy, greeting cards, guitar tabs, gun control, guns, MapQuest, maps, marijuana, hacking, marks, bookmarks, Mexico, Microsoft, hairstyles, hacking, Harley Davidson, Harry Potter, health, Hewlett Packard, history, Holiday Inn, models, money, monster.com, mortgage calculator, mortgage rates, mortgages, motorcycles, movie reviews, movie trailers, Holiday Inn, history, Holocaust, Home Depot, Honda, horoscope, horses, hotels, hotmail.com, houseplants, Howard Stern, humor, Hun's Yellow Pages, movies, MP3, MP3 download, MSN, MSN Hotmail, MSN.com, music, music lyrics, music videos, icons, ICQ, iMesh, Internal Revenue Service, IRS, Italy, Japan, N64 ROMs, nakednews.com, names, Napster, Napster download, NASA, NASCAR, Japan, Jennifer Lopez, JJJ, job search, jokes, Kelly Blue Book, kids, Las Vegas, nature, naturist, Netscape, and news. And there's more, but I will save that for another day. Okay, so now I'm going to do one of those readings where I'm going to read it backwards and then I'm going to read it forwards. Okay? All right, here we go. Span one as long as twice is cubit one as cubits 268.5 or inches 4,833. Have would you inches 2 spans 537 convert to were you? If so, span 1 2 equal is inches 9 Bible the 2 according. So here it is forward. Here we go. According to the Bible, 9 inches is equal to 1 span. So if you were to convert 537 spans to inches, you would have 4,833 inches or 268.5 cubits, as 1 cubit is twice as long as 1 span. I'm going to say it one more time. I'm going to read a little faster this time. According to the Bible, 9 inches is equal to 1 span. So if you were to convert 537 spans to inches, you would have 4,833 inches, or 268.5 cubits, as 1 cubit is twice as long as 1 span. Right. We're almost done with our drills. This is going to be the I and I. Pronoun I versus the I on our face. I plan, their eyes, her eyes, will I, her I do, I must, his I, can I, his eyes, I spoke, our eyes, its eyes, I heard, my eyes, may I try. And here are your sentences. My eye is sore, this I must see, she has blue eyes, he hit his eye, I do what I can, shade your eyes, his eyes strayed, I said I would, he caught her eye, my eyes are tired, I have the time, I have weak eyes, my eye hurts, I try very hard, catch his eye, I think I should reconsider. He eyed the stranger warily, her eye was swollen shut, a doctor examined her eyes, she had an eye for color, tears blurred his eyes, I hope I will be pardoned, I have no eye for design, I know I should be on time, his eyes are wandering, she has very beautiful eyes. I think I should change it. I need my eyes examined. My eyes were dazzled. I moved for dismissal. Her eyes are brown. Close your eyes. I want to argue it. You need an eye test. He has a black eye. I said I might go. Open your eyes now. He averted his eyes. I said I saw them. Is his eyesight good? I am eyeing the pie. I said I would see. Blink your eye. All right, here are some medical tangle tamers. Here we go. Umbilical, hepatitis, coccyx, epilepsy, hysterectomy, examination, insomnia, radiology, lateral, pressure, deceased, extremities, swelling, posterior, ischemia, endocardial, hypodermic, erythrocyte, hemorrhage, dizziness, laminectomy, podiatrist, Alzheimer's, clinical, orthodontics, angiogram, leukocyte, deceased, diseased, obstetrician, gastric, testosterone, appendicitis, acoustic, metabolism, bleeding, musculature, clavicular, cerebral, subluxation, deaf, brain, transverse, broken, dentist, melanoma, mastectomy, colostomy, amniocentesis, cranium, thoracic, cystocele, pathology, dorsal, tumor, cardiac, myelogram, vertebral, plantar, fracture, symptomology, injury, prescribes, aneurysm, dyspnea, I already said testosterone, gastric, fever, vessel, spinal, acromegaly. All right, let me just state this. All right, so we are going to move into literary. You know what, you guys, I forgot to give you your names and addresses. Let me do that real quick, okay? All right, here we go. Kathy G. Trimmer, Trimmer, 1011 West Chestnut Road, Savannah, Missouri, 64485. Celeste S. Easterwood, Easterwood, Route 2, Box 116, Jacksboro, Texas, 76056. Karen W. Pasaki, PESACKI, 2123 Gallagher Avenue, Scotch Plains, New Jersey, 07076. Liz A. Miranda, MIRANDA, 990 West Taylor Street, San Jose, California, 95126. Sue C. Wood, WOOD, 402 Curewood Castle, Oswego, Michigan, 48967. Teresa T. Monroe, MONROE, 1217 Huntington Drive, Flowers, South Dakota, 57201. Adam M. Campbell, CAMPBELL, 410 Missouri Avenue, Largo, Florida, 33540. Trudy N. Gardner, GARDNER, 4282 Strausser Street, P.O. Box 2423, North Canton, Ohio, 44720. Stephen L. Ingleswood, INGLESWOOD, 5040 Northeast 7th Street, Pompano Beach, Florida, 33064. All right. Let's move into literary now. This is on the budget. I'm going to start at 180 and I'll work my way to 225. All right, here we go. Ready? Mr. Speaker, I am introducing the Biennial Budgeting Act. This bill will put Congress on a 2-year budget cycle and enable us to get the budget under control. As members of the Budget Committee, we do not have enough time to review the budget and at the same time oversee and review existing programs and policies. We do not have enough time to go over the new program proposals to evaluate their merit. There are 16,500 bills introduced during each Congress. The committee must continue to oversee existing programs, consider the extension of ongoing programs, and try to give new programs the attention they deserve, which pushes the committee to the limit of its coping abilities. Throughout the last year, none of the crucial deadlines have been met. These delays are symptomatic of the time constraints that are placed on Congress each year. My bill proposes that the first year of each 2-year congressional term be devoted to the formal oversight of all the programs and agencies. The second year would be used for the passage of any new bills authorizing that legislation be adopted. This new approach has 3 important assets. First, more time can be spent overseeing current existing programs. Second, more time can be spent in creating a new budget. And third, less pressure is exerted to approve or disapprove new program proposals. This would rescue us from the up and down process we now engage in, where all too often decisions are the result of last-minute panic instead of long-range planning. This bill in its current form has been before the House for the last 2 sessions of Congress. This bill has 183 co-sponsors. We must adopt a system that enables Congress enough time to give the budget the serious attention it deserves, or we will never realize the goal of getting it under control. Now, I only got to 200 with that one, okay? It was just too short to get all the way up to 225. So I'm going to read you one more, okay? All right. This is on Right to Life. And I will just start right at, well, actually, I'll start at 200 and right away I'll work my way to 225. Okay. All right. Here we go. Mr. Speaker, I am introducing today a resolution to protect the life of the unborn. It is with a deep sense of moral responsibility and conviction that I once again propose this amendment to the Constitution of the United States to ensure that due process and equal protection are afforded to each and every individual with respect to the right to life. Mr. Speaker, more than 1,500,000 babies are aborted every year. Those abortions are in direct contradiction to the principle that each and every individual has the most basic of all rights, the right to life. It is the responsibility of the United States to protect that right. This responsibility has been recognized by many of my distinguished colleagues. I am pleased to say that liberals and conservatives alike, as well as individuals on both sides of the road, have repeatedly shown support for the God-given right, the right to life. It is deplorable that we find ourselves in a society where abortion is commonplace and where physicians and intellectuals condone the taking of lives. It is time that we confront this issue and move to protect those lives that are needlessly taken each day. The basic tenet is that human life, regardless of age, health, or condition of dependency, must be preserved, protected, and guaranteed under our Constitution. The unborn have long been held to have legal rights under the law. They have property rights. They may inherit property, family names, and in some societies, family titles. As such, they deserve to be safeguarded, just as an adult is protected under the existing laws governing murder. Mr. Speaker, the right to life, especially for the unborn, must be reaffirmed and protected. In that spirit, I offer the following resolution to restore this most basic human right and to ensure that this right is recognized and protected under the Constitution of the United States. Okay, so that was at 225. I started at 200, but I would say after the last 3 sentences, I moved right to 225. Okay, let's go ahead and do some jury charge. Okay. All right. This is on unpaid balance. I'm going to start at 200 with this. I'm going to work my way to 225, okay? Here we go. Members of the jury, no written contract or agreement was entered into between the parties to this action with respect to the installation of this plumbing or as to the work or material furnished. The defendant, by his pleadings, has accepted and retained the benefits of the performance made by the plaintiffs in this undertaking to the extent of the benefits received, and the defendant does not ask for a return of the $294.20 hereto paid to the defendants, the plaintiffs, of any part thereof. The defendant denies any liability for the unpaid balance for which the plaintiffs are now being sued or suing, and which they claim is now due and owing to them from the defendant, and the defendant now seeks to recover from the plaintiffs the sum of $20,000 for the damages to his building caused by the leakage and overflow of water due to the defective plumbing as installed by the plaintiffs, and for the cost of repairing this plumbing so carelessly and negligently installed. So this counterclaim of the defendant is in effect a suit for damages to his property. The plaintiffs claim that they have fully performed their part of the agreement and that the plumbing installed by them was done in a good and workmanlike manner and that it was functioning satisfactorily in every way. So the first question for you to decide is whether or not the plaintiffs have fully or substantially performed their part of the agreement. When a contractor undertakes to do construction work of some kind, he is considered to have substantially performed his work when he has performed his agreement in all important particulars, even though slight or unimportant details are missing. Where there is a substantial performance but not a strict performance, the contractor is entitled to recover the difference between the contract price and the damages caused by his failure to perform strictly as agreed. The burden of proof rests upon the plaintiffs to prove by the preponderance of the evidence that they have performed their part of the agreement in all material respects and in accord with the agreement. If you find from the preponderance of the evidence that the plaintiffs have done everything as agreed to upon in a good and workmanlike manner, then you will find the verdict for the plaintiffs for $28,770 And if you do so, fine, then you need to consider this case no further. But if you find then that you do need to consider this, and you fail to find from the preponderance of the evidence that the plaintiffs have fully recovered and performed their agreements, and that the defendant has suffered the damages by reason of defective performance, then you will consider what damages the defendant has sustained. A builder is responsible to his employer for defective performance and is liable either to an action for damages or a deduction from the price agreed upon. So the defendant in this case has elected to seek recovery in damages for the alleged defective construction. In such a case where the owner seeks damages, he can recover only the actual damages sustained, and he must exercise due care and diligence in minimizing the damages and try to prevent such damages as much as he reasonably can. The burden of proof rests upon the defendant to prove by the preponderance of the evidence that the defendant has sustained damages by reason of defective performance of the agreement on the plaintiff's part, and the extent of the damages so sustained by the defendant. And if you find from the preponderance of the evidence that the defendant has sustained damages in excess of the benefits received, then the defendant is entitled to a verdict in his favor for the damages so sustained by him. But if on the question of damages, you find that the evidence evenly balanced or preponderating in the plaintiff's favor, then you will find that the defendant is not entitled to any damages. To briefly sum up the issues in the case, if you find that the plaintiffs have fully performed their agreement, then you will find a verdict in favor of the plaintiffs in the sum of $28,770 with an interest thereon at 8% from and after May 20, 2006. If you find that the plaintiffs did not fully perform their agreement, but that the value of their services is equivalent to the payments already made by the defendant, then your verdict will be a verdict of no cause of action, in which in either event, the party recovers something and they are left as they are now. If you find that the performances of the plaintiffs was defective and that the defendant has sustained damages in excess of the benefits received, then you will find a verdict in favor of the defendant for the damages so sustained. You will return only one of the three verdicts submitted to you. All right.
Okay. Okay, I know there's a brief for it, but I can't remember. What's the brief for preponderate?
Preponderate. Ooh, do you have a brief for that?
Mine.
Oh, go ahead, Catherine.
Oh, sorry.
No.
PPT.
PPT.
That's mine.
What was it?
PPT. P final PT.
Oh, PPT, preponderate. Okay.
See, and I do PT,
Yeah, I
come
think
back
that's
for
mine
long AT. So that's even better because it's one stroke.
PPT. Okay. Thank you.
And then preponderance of the evidence. Do you just do PP?
I do PEFD.
Okay. What do you do, Catherine?
I do PPD.
Okay.
And my just preponderance is PP.
Okay. There you go. That's good. Okay, that works.
Preponderate. Okay.
Okay.
They're coming back to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
guys.
PEFD just made more sense to me because EFD is evidence. Preponderance of the evidence. It's stuck.
All right, I'm going to do a description drill. Okay. It's a funny description drill, but it's a good one. And I'll read this at 200. All right. Here we go. It's just Q&A. This is all a description. Okay. All right. 200. What did the first suspect look like? He was tall with flabby arms, unkempt blonde hair, about 5'11" in his early 40s, and was the nasty, mean one. What did the second suspect look like? He was a middle-aged man that was overweight, dark complexion with brown eyes and a green dragon tattoo on his upper arm, and was the nervous, quiet one. He had a receding hairline that looked like he was going bald in the back and going gray. What did the third suspect look like? The female was 30-something, skinny with spotty skin, plain clothing. She had on a red shirt, black pants, and white shoes. She was the loud, chatty one in the bunch. She had black, shoulder-length hair and was rather petite. What about the girl that was with her? The girl that was with her had long, wavy brown hair, pale skin, above average height. Clothing was untidy, wearing a stained pink and white shirt with light gray knee-length pants and silver sandals. She had a striped bow in her hair with gold hooped earrings. How about the person that they robbed? What did he look like? The male was clean shaven with short, spiky red hair, freckles, a thick mustache, average height with fair skin. He had on a blue shirt with a bluish gray jacket over that. His shorts were checkered and wore white socks. He had a purple baseball cap on that said Lakers on it. He seemed to be a nice, cooperative guy who was trying to do what he was told. What about the female he was with? She had more of a stocky build, dark coarse hair, short in height, yellow earrings, red bandana, good clear complexion with a raspy voice. She was wearing thick-rimmed glasses and had on blue jeans with holes in the knees, along with the white sweatshirt that had multicolored polka dots on it and orange checkered shoes. All right. Now, this is going to be one of these Q&As that don't really make sense. The questions are all over the place and some don't make sense, but you have to just write what you hear, okay? It's going to be at 200. What is your city like? It's small but nice. What are you going to do on your summer vacation? I haven't thought about it. How do you spell dog? D-O-G. How often do you speak on the telephone? At least once a day. What is your busiest day of the week? Tuesday. What are you doing? I'm eating. How long have you been playing the trumpet? For 4 years. Excuse me, can you tell me where the museum is? It's at the end of this street. Where can I buy beer? At a liquor store. What were you doing last night at 7? I was sleeping. When was the last time you went shopping? Yesterday. What do you like to drink? Coffee. What are you doing after dinner? I would like to read a book. Is your mother a good cook? Yes, she is. Where do you do your homework? At home. Okay. Let's do some regular Q&A now. And I'm going to start. I will start at 180, but I'm going to work my way to 225. Okay. All right. Here we go. Yep, it's going to be, let's see, I'm trying to see who's questioning. Yeah, plaintiff. Here we go. So if a person wore a size 9 or 10 shoe, it wouldn't be unusual for them, if their foot size was 9 or 10, it wouldn't be unusual for them to say, wear size 11 or larger shoe. No. During the course of your investigation, when you went back to Cincinnati, you didn't recover the clothing that the defendant was wearing back there. Is that correct? That's correct. Why didn't you do that? Because I believed that was not the clothing that was worn at the time the murders occurred. And do you know, were you able to determine during the course of your investigation what happened to the clothing that was worn at the time of the murders by the defendant? Yes. What was that? That the clothing that was worn was thrown in a trash in Los Angeles, and the shoes were given to Jackie Judkins in Cincinnati. And I believe during the cross-examination by defense counsel, you indicated that you did not go to the motel, which is one of the locations that the defendant had given you, that the victims were actually at when he had taken John and Macy there. Yes. Why didn't you go to that location? If my memory serves me right, I think that was the first story that I received from Mr. Myers. And at the conclusion of all the interviews with Mr. Myers, I did not believe that he had showed John and Macy the EC Motel. I did not believe that the EC Motel had anything to do with Mike and Yolanda being there. And even by his own statement to me, he had told me later that was a lie. And you also indicated during cross-examination that I think other than running the name Lisa Bodstrin, you didn't try to locate Lisa. Is that correct? That's correct. Why didn't you try to locate her? We didn't have the information on her physical address, phone number to locate her. And during the course of the interview of the defendant, he talked about various locations that he was at in California prior to going to Ohio. I think he talked about going someplace over by Normandy and 22nd. And he talked about someplace over by Olympic. He talked about Venice Beach and Redondo Beach. Is there a reason why you didn't check all those locations during the course of your investigation? Yes. Why is that? Well, those are general locations. Some of them were basically a street name intersection, and basically I didn't know where to start. Okay, did the defendant give you any information during the first half of the interview when he was talking about these things that would help you in trying to verify that information or locate the areas that he was talking about? Did he help with the information? Did he give you any information that would enable you to do that? Not enough for information that I would know, I could locate these people. No, it was just vague information. Okay, and with regard to the UPS robbery, I believe the defendant had advised you during the interview, he did that alone, and you indicated that during the course of your investigation or checking up on that you determined there was actually more than one suspect involved? Yes. What was the description of the suspects that were involved in the robbery? Well, I'd have to look at my report about that. Do you have a copy of the report? Yes, I do. Would looking at the report help you to refresh your memory or recollection? Yes, it would. Your Honor, may the witness do that, please? Certainly, go ahead. All right, here in the report, suspect number 1, I'm going to object, Your Honor, to the witness reading the report. Sustained. Detective, if you could review the report to refresh your memory, then if you could put the report aside and then you can testify, okay? Okay, yes, sir. Now, what is the description that's given of the suspects in the UPS robbery? It's a male, black, 5'10", 155 pounds, brown eyes, black hair, and the other one is a male, black hair, brown eyes. He is 5'5" and 155 pounds. Okay, both of those descriptions indicated that the suspect had brown eyes. Yes, sir. And what about the Staples robbery? Well, the first description is a male, black, 5'9", 165 pounds, black with green eyes, black hair with green eyes. Give me a second, please. The other one is a male, black, 5'7", 170 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. And you also indicated that you gave the LA authorities the information on the defendant after he had advised you that he had committed those robberies? Yes. Do you know what the LA authorities did with those cases after you gave them the information? No, I don't. When the defendant was drawing the map or when he was drawing his lines on the diagram that you had drawn to where he was at when he committed these murders, was he real sure about the location? No. Did he make any statements to you indicating what his recollection was of the location? No, not during this diagram that was done, but earlier statements that he had made, yes. What did he say about his recollection of the area? Your Honor, I'm going to object. Best evidence rule is the tape. He played the tapes. All right, the objection is overruled. You may answer, sir. That it was dark out there was one. The other one, he didn't know the name of the street in this case, Holleran Springs Road. And you also testified that one bullet was found in the skull of Michael Williams. And I think you said that the other bullet that was in the skull of Yolanda Venable was found out there in the desert. Is that correct? Yes, it is. What do you base that statement on? The fact that that bullet found out there in the desert was in the skull of Yolanda? I base that on, I have 2 victims out there, 2 with gunshot wounds. I know one was being Yolanda, had an exit wound. You have blood on the rocks. You have blood in the soil. I have a fresh bullet out there. Also, it's been my experience with cases involving gunshot wounds, not particularly the head. It could be the head. It could be another portion of the body that the bullets can, as they're exiting, be stopped by the skin as it is exiting. And I've seen the bullets hanging out of the skin halfway out. I've seen the bullets fall out of the bodies when they are being moved by the coroner. Okay, and there was some discussion about the defendant's original denial that he had committed these murders. He made the statement that I didn't do it. I believe on direct you indicated that in this case, you found that to be unusual. But when counsel was cross-examining, you indicated that a lot of people will say they weren't involved. How are you describing the fact that this case, it was unusual, but in other cases, this does happen? Well, in this case, it was unusual in the manner, in the way it was said to me, the way it was, the statement was made. Sure, I got a lot of people that will initially deny any involvement. It's just done in a different manner. Is there some way you could describe how it was different in this case rather than other cases? Your Honor, I'm going to object on the grounds of relevance. All right, the objection is overruled. You may answer, sir. Well, I don't think it's the importance so much of what was said as what was not said, the lack of a response that you would normally get. So you're not talking about the words, I didn't do it, as being unusual? No, no. It was more so the lack of the response. Okay, was there anything unusual during the questioning of the defendant as far as how the stories developed? Was there anything unusual in this case based on your experience in other cases? That is the way that this story was developed? No. Is it common for persons to initially deny that they are involved in a crime? Yes. And would you also say that it is common for the persons to admit partial responsibility, but try to minimize their involvement? Yes. And during the progression of the interviews, is it common for people to implicate themselves further and further when they have committed the crimes? Yes. And is it unusual for persons after your interrogation, it is complete, to actually accept the responsibility for what they have done? Like you said, is it unusual? Yes. No, that's not unusual. So this questioning with the defendant was a pretty common pattern that you've seen in other investigations that you've conducted? Yes, sir. I want to jump back now to when Detective Madrill was speaking with Lloyd Grant. Were you present during that interview? Yes, I was. There was a discussion yesterday about Detective Madrill telling Mr. Grant that his cooperation would be known to the judge or the authorities back in Ohio. Is that correct? Yes. Was that statement made prior to Mr. Grant advising you and Detective Madrill of the defendant's involvement in the murders here in California? No. So Mr. Grant had already given you that information when Detective Madrill said that his cooperation would be known? Yes. Thank you very much. I have nothing further. Thank you very much. Mr. Bristol? Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Gonzalez, how long have you been in law enforcement? 15 years and a couple of months now. What was your first assignment in law enforcement? County jail. How long were you there? 13 or 14 months. And then your second assignment? I worked as a uniformed officer out on the West End Sheriff Station in Ontario. What does uniformed officer mean? It just means basic patrol duties, taking criminal reports, responding to emergencies, some traffic control. How long were you out there? About 2 years. What was your next assignment? I was transferred to the Rancho Cucamonga Sheriff Station, and I had the same duties as I did at the West End, but a little more specific and with traffic responsibilities. And I was there from 2004 to 2009. And then when was your next assignment? Well, I was assigned as a training officer to the Sheriff's Academy. I went there from, I think it was 2010 to, yes, it was 2010. Okay, so about a year there. And then your next assignment? Then I went to homicide here. And how long have you been in homicide? It's been about 5 years and 2 months. And being in homicide, the reason that they call it homicide is because your duties require you to investigate homicides. Is that correct? Well, you have other responsibilities besides homicides, but that is the basic function that I do. Now, in response to a question, you said you had found over the years that people who commit various types of crimes, they wear various types of clothing, kind of a fit affiliated with the crime. How many burglaries have you investigated in your career? I don't know. I'm going to say over 100. What type of clothing do people who commit burglaries usually wear? It depends on which people you're talking about. I'm talking about just people in general. That's what you are talking about? Well, it can vary. How many arsons have you investigated? I don't think I've ever done an arson investigation. No. So you don't know what type of clothing they wear? No. How many child investigation cases have you investigated? 6. What kind of clothing? Only 6? Yes. Of those 6, what kind of clothing did they generally wear? Oh, I don't know. How many car thefts have you investigated? 20 or 30? And what is the general type of clothing that those people who commit car thefts wear? It can vary. How many assaults with guns have you investigated? 75. What is the type of clothing that people who commit assaults with guns generally wear? Well, it can vary. How many petty thefts have you investigated? A couple hundred. What's the type of clothing that people who commit petty thefts wear? It can vary again. For how many robberies have you investigated? 50. And what is the type of clothing that these people that commit robberies generally wear? It can vary. How many homicides have you investigated? 130, about 150. What is the type of clothing that people who commit homicides wear? That can vary. How many traffic tickets have you given? 800. What is the type of clothing that people who speed generally wear? Nice clothing. Suits and ties, blue suits, and yes. Now, in the follow-up investigation that you did you determine how many Jeep dealerships there are in Los Angeles? No, I did not. Do you think there are 50? Objection, Your Honor. It calls for speculation. Objection is overruled. You may answer if you know. I don't know. You said that the reason you didn't go out and try to verify some of Mr. Meyer's statements, for instance, the statement about Lisa, because you didn't have the address of Lisa. Is that correct? That's true, yes. Do you have a copy of the transcript of Exhibit 94? Could you turn to page 24? Okay. And on page 24, the first question asked by Officer Madrill, do you have a phone number for Lisa? And there's a series of answers until we get down to 1, 2, 3, 4 names up from the bottom where it says Mr. Myers, and he responds to a question. They would have it. It was in the room. Is that correct? I remember that on the transcript, yes. Then if you go down to the 2 names, it will say Gonzalez, and it says that's something we could check on. Did you go back to the room and check to see if the phone number was there? No. Did you go back to determine if there were telephone numbers or telephone calls made from the room? No. Did you go back to the room and check whether Mr. Myers to see if her address was in his belongings in the room? His belongings were taken to the police department. Did you go to the Blue Ash Police Department and go through his belongings to see if the address was there? Yes. Did you find it? No. Did you take the clothing? No. But you went through the clothing? No. I'm sorry, you didn't go through the clothing? No, it was property that was collected by the officer in Cincinnati. I don't remember exactly what it was. I remember there were some papers there that we photocopied and we looked at. I don't remember anything with reference to Lisa's information. Well, you did go through the belongings though. We looked at what was collected from the room, yes. And among the stuff that was shown, there would have been his clothing. No. It wasn't there? No. Did you attempt to locate the clothing? No. That's because you believe that he told you that it was burned in Los Angeles. So therefore, you assumed any clothing he might have had would have no relevance to your investigation. Is that correct? Well, there are some things that I gave him some credibility on. Yes, that was one of them. Let me show you Exhibit 96. This is a photograph. It's a booking photograph of Mr. Myers, I believe. That was the booking photograph taken at the time he was arrested in Cincinnati on August, was it the 18th, I believe? Yes. That's the booking photograph? Yes. Now, in that booking photograph, his hair is braided. Is that correct? It's pulled back and braided, yes. Now, we have another photograph that shows that his hair is short. Well, it's sort of short and full. That was the photograph that you got from those belongings of his? No, that was a photograph that I received from Mazel Williams, or a relative of hers. When did you receive that photograph? The date that she was interviewed, which was, you can't remember? Please check. Okay, thank you. That would have been on August 19 of 2012. And so when you came back to Cincinnati to talk to Mr. Myers, you had a photograph in your possession in which he didn't appear as he appears in the photograph. I'm referring to Exhibit 96. Yes, I did, yes. Did you make any effort to determine when he changed his appearance? No. Did you take that booking photograph back to Los Angeles and show it to various people and say, this is William Myers and green with green eyes as you tried to identify him? No, I did not. When did you get that booking photograph? Last week. Last week. Did you check last week to find out if they still had his jail clothing or the clothing that he was arrested in back in Cincinnati? No. Well, excuse me. I did ask that question to Chris Wallace. What did they say? He has no idea where it's at. Maybe in Lebanon. Okay. Did you call them to try to track it down? No. You said in response to Mr. Abackerley's question about the Jeep that you didn't see the Jeep as a significant part of the investigation. No, I think it was worded a little bit differently than that. Well, word it any way you want to. Tell me what you thought about the Jeep as part of the investigation. Well, the Jeep would have been nice if we would have located it, but that's probably our true crime scene. We did not get enough information to do that. It would have been real significant had we found it. It would have been great, but it was significant in the sense of Retha Thomas's observations of a similar type of vehicle. And when you go back to Cincinnati, Mr. Myers of a similar type of vehicle. Actually, you got two different descriptions. Retha Thomas didn't describe the Jeep as being white in color, did she? I think she said beige with brown trim. Yes. Now, you must have done something besides what you described. Did you do anything else to locate, as you put it, the crime scene of the homicide? Well, Detective Madrill and I spent some time in Los Angeles. Okay, how about, did you contact any of the people that you might know or that might know Mr. Myers, like his aunt or any of those people, all those names that he gave you, to see if they knew where the Jeep was located? It was the crime scene after all, as you've said. Well, I'm not sure of the names that you are referring to, but he supposedly, they're on the tape. Did you go through the tapes? Gave us the information and take those names that you heard and try to track those people down to see if you could locate that Jeep or the crime scene. Well, are you referring to D. Dan? Yeah, it would have been nice to know who D. Dan was. That's just a moniker. It's not even Lloyd Grant who knew D. Dan. He did know D. Dan, didn't he? He knew of him, yes. Did you take the information from Lloyd Grant and go and try to track down D. Dan? No. When you say the Jeep was probably the crime scene, that's because Mr. Myers told you numerous times that he shot those people in the Jeep. Isn't that correct? Yes. So you would expect that since they were there, that the Jeep would have blood in it or whatever from the killings of those people, wouldn't you? Yes. And that would certainly corroborate with the fact that Mr. Myers, A, did the killings, and B, that they were killed in this Jeep, and might even indicate to you a number of other things, mightn't it? Yes. So that Jeep was more than just a casual part of the investigation, wasn't it? Well, it was important up to a point, yes. All right, so let's do one read back. All right. You know what, you guys? I've got a 2-page, it's all yes and no answers. I'm going to read this one time. I'm going to read this at between 225 and 240, okay? It's just 2 pages. So it's 2 pages, and most of the answers are either yes or no. Okay, all right, here we go. Now, and then I'm going to do a read back selection, so it'll be different from this. Here we go. Now, at the time that Jennifer had the car, did she say something about just buying it? Yes. Do you remember how she said it? What word she used? No, not the exact word she used. I just bought the car, something like that? Yes. Okay, do you know her to have a lot of money at that time? No. She didn't have a job, is that right? Yes. Yes, she did? No. She did not have a job? No, she did not. You said something earlier about her borrowing money from you? Yes. Was this on more than one occasion? Yes. More than 10 times? No, I don't think that much. 5 times? Yes, about that, I would say. Was it a lot of money? Yes. How much? About $2,500 each time? No, that's total. Is that an exact amount? No. An approximation? Yes. Did she tell you that she would pay you back for that? Yes. Did she say when? No. Before this time, before the $2,500 that she borrowed from you, did she ever borrow money from you? Yes. How much was that? I don't know, maybe like $20 here and $10 there, you know. Why do you think she needed to borrow so much? She didn't have any money. Do you know where she lived? Yes. What was the address if you know? Yes, 437 Spring Street. Was this a house? Yes. Okay, did she have anyone live with her? No. No, you don't know, or no, she didn't? No, she did not. Do you know if she made payments on the house? No, I don't know. Had you ever been over there? Yes. Objection, irrelevant. Overruled. Did she pay her rent then? Right? Objection, leading. Sustained. All right. So that was over 225. So that was somewhere between 230, 240. Okay. All right. Now we're going to do 1 page here. I'm going to start at 225, then do it again at 200, then at 180. Okay. All right. That's okay though. You just do the best you can. It's going to make your speed seem really slow. Okay, here we go. Is Dr. Kernan an ophthalmologist? Yes, he is. Did he examine your eyes? Yes. What did he prescribe as a result of examining your eyes? He prescribed glasses. Had you ever worn glasses previous to that? No. Did you get glasses? Yes. How frequently do you wear glasses now? When I read. Did he tell you what the condition is that you suffer as a result of the accident? I am farsighted. Did the doctor tell you what condition you developed as a result of the accident? No, he didn't. He did prescribe glasses for your farsightedness. Is that correct? He prescribed glasses for my condition. Were you farsighted before the accident? No. You became farsighted as a result of the accident? Yes. Could you describe to me the intensity and duration of your headaches at the present time? They are very intense. They last approximately 8 hours. How frequently do you have them now? 1 or 2 times a week. Sometimes they come on more frequently than that, but once or twice a week is usual. Have you seen any other doctors than those that we have mentioned today regarding injuries which you may have suffered in the accident? I mentioned Dr. Broman. When did you see Dr. Broman? I saw him in July. He is a physical therapist. You saw him about a month after the accident? Yes. All right, second time now at 200. Is Dr. Kernan an ophthalmologist? Yes, he is. Did he examine your eyes? Yes. What did he prescribe as a result of examining your eyes? He prescribed glasses. Had you ever worn glasses previous to that? No. Did you get glasses? Yes. How frequently do you wear glasses now? When I read. Did he tell you what the condition is that you suffer as a result of the accident? I am farsighted. Did the doctor tell you what condition you developed as a result of the accident? No, he didn't. He did prescribe glasses for your farsightedness. Is that correct? He prescribed glasses for my condition. Were you farsighted before the accident? No. You became farsighted as a result of the accident? Yes. Could you describe to me the intensity and duration of your headaches at the present time? They are very intense. They last approximately 8 hours. How frequently do you have them now? 1 or 2 times a week. Sometimes they come on more frequently than that, but once or twice a week is usual. Have you seen any other doctors than those that we have mentioned today regarding injuries which you may have suffered in the accident? I mentioned Dr. Broman. When did you see Dr. Broman? I saw him in July. He is a physical therapist. You saw him in about a month after the accident? Yes. So now when I said the word in, let me write that down. Okay. All right. Last time at 180. Here we go. Is Dr. Kernan an ophthalmologist? Yes, he is. Did he examine your eyes? Yes. What did he prescribe as a result of examining your eyes? He prescribed glasses. Had you ever worn glasses previous to that? No. Did you get glasses? Yes. How frequently do you wear glasses now? When I read. Did he tell you what the condition is that you suffer as a result of the accident? I am farsighted. Did the doctor tell you what condition you developed as a result of the accident? No, he didn't. He did prescribe glasses for your farsightedness. Is that correct? He prescribed glasses for my condition. Were you farsighted before the accident? No. You became farsighted as a result of the accident? Yes. Could you describe to me the intensity and duration of your headaches at the present time? They are very intense. They last approximately 8 hours. How frequently do you have them now? 1 or 2 times a week. Sometimes they come on more frequently than that, but once or twice a week is usual. Have you seen any other doctors than those that we have mentioned today regarding injuries which you may have suffered in the accident? I mentioned Dr. Broman. When did you see Dr. Broman? I saw him in July. He is a physical therapist. You saw him about a month after the accident? Yes. All right. How was that?
I've had better.
No. That's okay. That's all right. All right, so you guys let me know when you find your spot. How was it for you, Catherine?
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about maybe reading back my 225 take, but I don't think it was good.
You should just try.
I'll
I thought you were
try.
laughing because of my liar liar quote.
I just watched that movie like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
I was laughing about that first.
Sweet.
So
I'm ready.
you're ready.
Whenever you are.
So Adam, today Catherine is taking her RPR Q&A.
What?
Yep.
Good luck. When is that?
In 2 hours.
Well, at least you're warmed up, I guess.
I guess.
Yes.
That's why I did it this way.
Well, you better
Get
nail
warmed up.
this 225 read back.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to, but it's okay.
It's
All right.
225 two voice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. You can do it, Catherine.
We'll see if everything goes right.
Yeah. If not, you just take it again, you know?
Yeah.
Thank God it's not like the state test where then you gotta wait, 3 months.
Oh, yeah, that's torture.
How long would you have to wait if you fail this one? You just have to wait until you find out you failed?
No,
You could do it again.
I could take it. You just have to schedule it 3 days in advance. And you're only allowed 3 attempts per quarter. So.
Oh, okay. Do they charge you each time?
Oh, yeah.
And right away if it's like a good possibility of a pass, right?
Yeah, you get an estimated score immediately. So, and it's pretty close. It's within 1 or 2%, usually within 1%, I would think.
Nice.
From what I've heard. Anyways.
Yeah.
How much do they charge you to take it each time?
Oh, it's not much. It's like $75.
Well, all right then.
So
it's not crazy.
One down. So
one down. Yeah.
Here you go.
Have you passed any other of the legs already?
Yeah, I passed the jury charge.
Nice. And then there's still the English?
The literary.
Literary?
Oh, yeah. I already passed the written exam too, so there's technically 4 parts to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll start with the first Q&A. Okay.
Are you sure?
All right. So, question: is Dr. Kernan an ophthalmologist? Answer: yes, he is.
Question: did he examine your? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. You're good.
Question: did he examine your eyes? Answer: yes.
Question: what did he describe? Or describe as what did he prescribe as a result of you're examining your eyes? Yeah, there we go. Answer: he prescribed glasses. Period.
Awesome. Question:
That's rough.
That's okay. Had you ever worn glasses previous to that? Answer: no. You figured it out, so that's all that matters.
Question: did you get glasses? Answer: yes.
Question:
That's okay.
how frequently do you wear glasses now? Answer: when I read.
Okay. Question: did he tell you what the condition is that you suffer as a result of the accident? Answer: I am farsighted.
Question: did the doctor tell you what condition you developed as a result of the accident? Answer: no, he didn't.
Question: he did prescribe glasses for your farsightedness. Question: is that right? Answer: he prescribed glasses for my condition.
Question, were you farsighted before the accident? Answer, no.
Hang on, let me try and figure this out.
Okay.
Okay, I have you.
Yeah, that's right.
You?
You have became.
Oh, no, I was trying to figure it out. I have bake. So I hit the wrong
Yeah, instead of the
side.
M. Yeah.
I hit the K. Okay. You became became I don't know. This is what I have. I have farther as a result of the accident.
Oh, well, farsighted.
Oh, farsighted. Okay.
Yeah. So
Answer yes.
Awesome.
Were
So
you trying to brief it?
I don't know what I was trying to do. Farsighted kind of threw me for a loop.
that's okay. It was close.
I kept like messing up. I kept messing up as a result and going, because I have a brief, like SARLT as a result, and I kept writing as a, and then I would be like, oh wait, I have a brief, and then I would just like, that would screw me up so bad.
Yeah, forget it.
It's terrible. Oh, the accent. Okay, I'm up. Could? Is it could?
Yep.
Okay. Could you describe to me the intensity? Oh man, this is bad.
No, intensity.
The intensity?
Yeah, then you said that right.
Very close. It was very close. I missed the B on the in. It's ip. The intensity. Okay. All right, cool. Can you describe the intensity? That's all I have for that one. Oh wait, intensity and duration of your headaches at this point? No, at this particular time?
Yeah, at the present time. Do you have TEPT?
Oh yeah, I have TEPT. You're right.
Okay.
At the present time. I just don't read my notes very often anymore. They are very intense. They last approximately 8 hours.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's it.
Great job. Question, how frequently do you have them now? Answer 1 or 2 times a week. Sometimes they come on more frequently than that, but once or twice a week is usual.
Question.
Well, I had all of that one.
Okay. Question. Have you seen any other doctor than those mentioned today?
Oh, do you have we have? Then those that we have mentioned?
No.
That's okay. It's just we have. So those that we have.
We have mentioned today. Regarding, is it regarding?
Yep.
Regarding the injuries.
Just injuries, no the.
Okay, regarding injuries you suffered in the accident.
So it's
Is
actually
it which?
Yep, which you may have suffered.
Okay. In the accident. Answer, I mentioned Dr. Monroe.
Yeah, I
it
mentioned
mentioned?
Dr. Broman.
Oh, Broman. I have Broman. I don't know why I said Monroe.
That's okay. That's okay.
You're just dyslexic. It's okay. Roman Monroe.
Is it my turn or is it Adam's turn?
I think it's my turn.
Okay.
Okay. When did you see Dr. Broman? I saw him in July. It was, it's a physical he is. I don't know why I have it's. It's he is, right?
Yep, he is.
He is a physical therapist.
Good job. Question. You saw him. It's supposed to be you saw him about a month, but in the 200 take I said you saw him in okay, about a month after the accident. Answer yes.
Had that one too.
Good job. Of course. All the ones you didn't
strong.
have to read back.
It really worked out great because I dropped 2 whole questions and Catherine had those ones.
They were
So I didn't look too terrible.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, good luck today, Catherine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess that wasn't too bad. It could have been worse.
See, it's never as bad as you think it's going to be.
Could have been as bad as mine.
As long as you can figure it out, that's all that matters.
That's true. All right, I'm going to go do some 260 now.
How long do you have to transcribe?
70 minutes.
Dang.
To transcribe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I use every minute.
Yep.
Doesn't in the CSR, don't you have like 3 hours?
The state test, but the state test is a 10-minute, well, actually it's 12 minutes, but it's 2-minute lead in, so it's 10 minutes. So it's double.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
So you have double the time.
I just keep reading that thing over and over and over again, and I just sit there and I keep reading it. And
yep.
Do you like print it out and then read it that way too and stuff?
You can't print it out. I don't think. I don't know if they let you print it out. No, you're not allowed to use a printer. It's not one of because it's online. It's proctored online, and they watch you. And a printer isn't on the list of materials that you're allowed to use.
That's interesting because a lot of people have printing it out and looking at the paper version of their transcript as like part of their, transcribing, proofreading.
That's actually a good question. I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Interesting. We'll find out.
Yeah.
I don't do it, but a lot of people do it.
I mean, it might be because they don't know what you're printing out.
Yeah, and they probably don't want you to keep it after that too, in case they reuse it.
Yeah. You have to delete it. So.
Yeah. Maybe if they watch you shred it.
Maybe.
All right, you guys. Well, you have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Good luck.
Bye.
Thanks. I'll let you know either way, Jill.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Okay. Bye. Thanks.
Goodbye. Bye.